I kind of agree with what the co-host James Jones said. I don't think Kyle's on the hot seat now. I think his seat right now is cold. I think, the press conference actually to me, I didn't hate like John had Kyle's back on the special teams question. Like that seems like a conjoined duo.
Mhm.
Um but I agreed with what James Jones says. And LaShawn McCoy I think echo the sentiment. I don't think his seat's hot at all. I don't even think it's warm. I think it's nice and cool. But if they have another losing season this year after this big offseason that they have both mentioned, this is a big offseason. We're going to make big moves. We're going to be bold. We're going to make sure that this offseason is to get us back to where we need to be. I think if you have another losing season after this year, then yeah, I think his seat's very hot. But right now, I would say I don't. I think
So if you
he can
say, so
use
you're
some of
saying
these
if he has another losing season next year, this upcoming season, he'll get fired or he'll be on notice heading into 2026.
I think it depends, right? Because I think if it's 6-11, I could see him being fired,
Okay.
especially because there are those rumors Ben Johnson might pull himself out of the race. Maybe he's waiting for a big job like this.
Yeah.
And 6-11, maybe Ben Johnson comes out next year and they're like, ooh, like, something like that. Or maybe we bring in Sala and they like Sala and they're like, you know what? We have someone here. I think if it's like a 10-7 and they barely miss playoffs, I think his seat will be hot. I don't think he'll be gone. But I think, yeah, if he has another season like this year, next year, I could see him being fired for sure.
It seems like the Niners front office or upper ups is trying to treat this offseason the way the Eagles treated last offseason for themselves. Like they had their down season coming off a playoff loss, a Super Bowl loss. It wasn't as bad as the Niners, but it was embarrassing. They lost all those games to end the season, kind of like the Niners.
Yep.
And then Sirianni was kind of forced to get a bunch of new coordinators. And anytime you have to clean house like that as a head coach, I think it's kind of implied that you're next.
Yeah.
Like you can't do that anymore. You can't do the Noah's Ark start over thing. You do it once. And so it worked for Philly in the sense that they're back in the playoffs. I don't know if they're going to get to the Super Bowl this year. We'll see, but he's not on the hot seat anymore. But I think it was kind of implied that he was.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
that's why I feel like Kyle might be on like the lukewarm seat.
Yeah.
Because I think once you have to fire multiple coordinators, I think it's implied like, better get it right this time, man. We're not doing this again next year. You don't get to fire everyone again next year. It's your ass next time.
Yeah. No, okay, so I'd agree with that. I think it's like they're putting the pot on the stove and they're about to start the burner. That's how I would kind of see it. Like, all right, we're giving you the reset.
Yep.
But as games start, because especially with, well, I want Brock here as long as I'm here. John, we want him here a long, long time. So they're getting in line to pay him, which, man, but I could tell you right now, if that front office shells out another massive contract and it ends up falling on his face like this year, there's 0% chance Jed York. I mean, he fired Harbaugh when Harbaugh had a great record with us just because they didn't get along. I could see Jed being like, dude, okay, there was no excuse this year. Like, you can't make an injury excuse. If you didn't hire the right coordinator this offseason, that's your fault. If you didn't get the players you needed this offseason, that's your fault. Like, I think at this point, it's going to be one of those things where it's like, this offseason is looked at as Kyle and John, you guys keep saying this is the standard, make it the standard. I don't want to go 6-11 when we're spending more money than we've ever spent in the history of this organization.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see who they get as their defensive coordinator because they got to get this right. I mean, like Nick Sirianni was kind of put on notice and he went out and got Vic Fangio. Like, what a way to save your job. What's Kyle going to do? Can he pull Robert Saleh out of the hat? And if not, is Jeff Ulbrich going to like put this back together? I'm skeptical.
Yeah, no, my thing is I hate that the Saleh hire is like, if he doesn't get a head coaching job. I feel like if I was John and Kyle, what I would do is I'd go to Saleh and be like, don't care what they're offering you. Like I think he's interviewed with the Raiders and the Jags. I'd be like, we will offer you head coach money. We need you to help right this ship. Like, we need you here. Or the Bengals DCIC is like a hot name for us. I don't know why, because their defense was atrocious.
I'd be so mad if I were the Yorks, though. It's like we're spending $14 million a year on the head coach, and now we got to spend like $8 million a year on the defensive coordinator because the head coach can't get it done, and he needs come on, man.
But I mean, dude, if could you imagine? My biggest worry is we wait on Saleh and we have to promote Staley. If we promote Staley, I think Kyle's fired. I think
Is
he'll
it
even read
possible
the
that the
white.
Niners have been going cheap at defensive coordinator because Kyle keeps getting extensions and raises, and I don't know.
It could be like it
They need to
could
pay
be
up.
like yeah, I because they need to find their like that's what I'd pitch to Saleh. Like I want you to be my Steve Spagnuolo. Like I'm at Reed, you're Spagnuolo. Like, let's make a dynasty out of our coaching staff, not just our roster. Like
Yeah.
that, I think has to be your pitch. Not we'll get you a head coaching job. No, I'd be like, we want to be selfish. We want you to be our Spag. And what did Andy Reid do? They paid Spag to stay. You know,
Yeah, moving Sorensen over to special teams makes me feel like special teams is going to be bad again next year, and I can't help but notice that Jake Moody's still on the roster. I don't know why, but Tyler, thanks for calling in, man.
yeah.
Good stuff.
Thanks, man. Have a
All
good
right, always
one.
good to see you.